And here we go now with patient file number 5 of the Archives Run, the series where I explain the monstrous creature scenarios, viruses, and so on and so forth of the things you wouldn't survive if all of a sudden they kind of became a little real. When it comes to patient file number 5, this is going to be a good one because we're going with one of the classics, one of the most popular ones here in more recent memory. Are you ready? Patient file number 5 is Ghostface from the Scream franchise. How the hell does he breathe in this thing? What makes Ghostface so dangerous? He's just an ordinary human in an outfit and in a mask, right? Well, actually, that, I asked the question, I also answered it. He's just an ordinary person. As of today, right here in the year of 2025, there's over 8 billion people alive on the planet. You mean to tell me there aren't a few psychopaths and sociopaths among the masses? And yes, there actually is a difference between the two. Every so often, a psychopath, a sociopath, someone who's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, usually, yeah, whenever they get pushed over the edge, they're going to do something dangerous. And worst case scenario, let's say a psychopath meets a sociopath and they decide to do a classic team up. Terrible as that scenario is, and that would be worst case scenario, a team up between two people who've gone off the reservation, just one alone is terrible enough as it is. Because anyone who's willing to take up the mantle, the mask, knife, and everything, you know you're in for a really terrible time. Because whether we're talking psychopath or sociopath, one common trait is shared amongst everyone who's ever shared the mantle of Ghostface. They're kind of smart. Not smart enough to not go after someone that they know, that they personally know, the person under the mask, but smart enough to know that, they need to make sure they don't leave behind anything containing their DNA, or that, if they're caught on camera, always wear the mask so they can't be identified. Again, these psychopaths and sociopaths are only smart to a certain degree, because at the end of the day, Ghostface is still kind of human at the end of the day. Ghostface, the person under the mask, still needs to sleep, still needs to eat. Again, mistakes also can be made here, and also a factor of luck as well, if you would or wouldn't survive if Ghostface suddenly came for you. Understanding that there's no such thing as coincidence or anything that's random will give you an advantage. Case in point, if Ghostface is coming after you, it's probably someone who knows you personally. That's going to limit the suspect pool quite a lot. Just realize this kind of became like the ping pong effect. I'm talking about the pros, but then I'm bouncing back between the cons. I'm just bouncing back and forth between the two. So Ghostface more than likely knows who you are, but also vice versa. There's that ping pong effect. Now we're going over here again. You'll also probably have eventually, if you've survived long enough, we'll probably have a really good indication of just exactly who's under the mask and what they're going to be coming after you. Are they going to be following the classic trope of Ghostface only coming after you with a blade? I mean, if this is the only real threat right here, just this blade, then newsflash, Grandma Asylum could take out Ghostface.
Damn trick-or-treaters, get off my lawn.
And again, maybe you actually are perfectly aware of who's under the mask, and if that Ghostface, that person who's picked up the mantle, is someone who's going to follow the trope, the classics of just using the blade, or is he going to be a Ghostface that's not going to be afraid to pick up a boomstick? At that point, if Ghostface has gone full tactical vest and boomsticks in hand, at this point, you're either going to have one of two options. Either cross state lines or dig your heels in, get your own boomsticks, and get ready to fight. There's no real third option there. But then there's just the classic, theme whenever it comes to Ghostface. There's never just one. They're like Sith Lords. There's always two. And more often than not, when you realize there was actually two of these people who, again, have gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, there's no real overcoming that. And really, whenever it comes to the movies, I mean, we point and laugh at them. But realistically, if this happened, if there were two of them all along, you're only going to find out when basically, well, you got no chance of hell of overcoming, let alone surviving any of this. If there's two coming after you, yeah, you're pretty much cooked. Terrifying as worst case scenario is, however, that would be extremely rare, especially in a realistic lens like a psychopath meeting a sociopath. That's not really something that's going to happen. But so you would only really have one Ghostface coming after you, and that's not that difficult to overcome. Provided you're smart enough not to engage in a close quarters combat, CQC, with Ghostface, and you make sure to fight this opponent at a distance, you're probably going to come out on top. And again, at the end of the day, Ghostface, there's nothing supernatural about him. One well-placed shot is just enough to drop him as it would be for you. So basically, it kind of comes down to luck, and provided Ghostface doesn't get the ambush, the surprise on you, you got a better fighting chance than you realize. And now it's time for the final verdict. Remember, the higher the rating whenever it comes to these scores, the less likely a chance you would have of surviving. And when it comes to Ghostface, I can only give him a 6 out of 10. That doesn't really seem that high, and that's because, well, Ghostface is only so dangerous. Again, just an ordinary human with a little bit of sharpened steel. I mean, come on. He can only be so dangerous. But still, I'll be completely honest. If someone, Ghostface decided to come after me, I would still shit myself just as much as anybody else would, okay? I will confess to that much. Another mask for the growing collection. Don't worry, Zilla, we'll find a new place for you on a new shelf around here before the next episode. That'll do it this time for the patient file, this brand new episode on the Archives Run of explaining the monstrous creatures you wouldn't survive if they became kind of, well, real. But if you all enjoyed, please make sure to give me a follow, like, and a comment right over here, and especially hit that follow so I can continue to keep you all informed on all things video games, trailers, comics, and continue these episodes on the Archives Run. But again, I hope you all enjoyed. Hope to see y'all in the next one.